minute. Bit shallow. There we go. We're in a straight line. We're going. Oh my god, a whole year in the making. This is so exciting. And what a beautiful boat. She's just carrying all this extra weight I've got shoved in here. Laptops, drones. We're just a bit bouncy at the moment while I get used to the extra weight. It's just the thing. Morning! I didn't want to do footage of, you know, driving up, campsites, preparation, all of that. I just wanted to get on the boat, get on the river, get the boat on the river, get the boat packed, and then worry about, you know, showing you where everything has gone as we travel. So this is the Bay Sports Expedition 3 5.3 meter expedition ocean going kayak, which is designed to go in straight lines. Doesn't like going around bends, except slowly. Has a rudder and fairly watertight compartments. Not, you know, extraordinarily watertight. So everything inside has to be in day bags. And because I'm carrying some electronics, so a drone, GoPros, stuff like that. There are watertight bags inside watertight bags inside watertight bags. And so it's going to take me a few days to work out. You know, I did dry runs with all of this, a number of dry runs, and just to show, or to make sure that I knew where everything was going and it would all fit in. So that was the most important thing. And so everything has gone in. Just the important. eddy here. Can't see the bottom, but wow, I'm just so happy to be on the river. Time is now 10 to 11. Been going for about an hour. Day 2. Thought I'd give you an update because I didn't do anything last night when I landed. So yesterday was fantastic in that I managed to get away, but also an absolute nightmare. The river is really flooded, and there are huge numbers of trees which have fallen, creating dangerous hazards in the water to avoid. And because if you catch one at the speed the river's going, you're going to capsize. Had some really hairy moments. Got used to the boat a bit more, which is good, but doing all of that and trying to cover 60 k's, I was absolutely out of it by the time I managed to find this spot. And a lot of the spots, they're all flooded. There's been huge amounts of mud coming down the river, which means that, you know, it's next to impossible to find those good spots that should be there and aren't there because of the high flows. All the sandy areas have turned to mud. My first lot of clothes, so I had a near miss with a capsize, and it was near the shore, so it wasn't too bad, but my clothes ended up covered in mud and anyway. Day 2, we're back on the river, covered in mosquito bites from last night. It was almost dark by the time I managed to turn up. It was almost 7 o'clock by the time I managed to find the smallest mud area I could land on, and then on top of that was a camping area, which I didn't know about. But the one I wanted to stop at was completely, you couldn't get on it because of all of the trees blocking the way in. And so I managed to get to, but the downside of this campsite that I managed to find, if you could call it a campsite, was I had to empty the kayak and drag it all the way up the bank and then set up camp. And by the time I'd done that, it was blowing a gale, it was howling wind. It had gone through a thunderstorm earlier in the day, and I didn't have time. I just wasn't capable of doing anything. I'm pretty fit. I've worked really hard to get to this stage over the last year, and all I could do was get the airbed up, get the sleeping bag unfolded, get everything in the tent that I could squeeze in, and I think as soon as my head hit the pillow, I was gone. And so I had to do the reverse of all of that this morning. I was awake at 6:30, and I still didn't get away until 9 o'clock because I had to get the kayak back down the bank, which was covered in mud, and everything else back down the bank without getting it covered in mud. And the downside, I think, of traveling the River Murray is that the Victorian side really is the only place you can camp unless you've got permission to camp on the landowner's land on the New South Wales side, which means you're constantly looking for somewhere to stop on the Victorian side, because I think it's 60 metres back from the river's edge is classed as public land, so that you can stop, you can get out, you can have a drink, you can do what you need to do. So at the moment I'm on it's a sandbank in the water, It's a mud bank on the edge. But I'll see if you can see the boat. You see the boat just in the distance? So it's on a sandbank, so it's on a chunk of mud. And it can't go anywhere. I've dragged it up there, so it's pretty safe. And I've just stopped to stretch my legs, and because believe me, sitting in the same position for 3 hours is it's tiring. It hurts the legs, and also I've got to try and recover from all of these mosquito bites. So hopefully we'll do some more footage as we move down the river. I am so late. It is 10 o'clock, which means I'm going to have to paddle for longer. And it is at the moment stunningly beautiful, and still stayed at a glorious beach last night, which was infinitely better than the night before. So my glasses are tied on, but they're tied on in such a way that I can bring this up, so when the sun gets really strong, you know, no one can see me coming. Paddle on the outside bend, boys and girls. That's where the current flows fastest. There is that much garbage on this river from recent high flows. It is unbelievable, which makes it hard going. Because I can't just happily meander down the river trying to go as fast as I can. I have to avoid all of the trees that have been washed up on the outside bends. Is to take regular breaks, especially in this kind of boat where your knees are pushed up against the sides for stabilisation over eddies, such as what we have here, or your legs are flat out at the pedals, which means that sitting in the boat for long periods of time leads to, before I changed the seat, it was numb bum. My rear end is fine now, but my legs are still suffering the dramas of just, not moving, not walking. So you have to be conscious of that and do some boat exercises. So flex your knees and just put your legs under tension by pressing on the footrests and pushing yourself backwards. Here we go, boys and girls. It was another absolute abysmal night. Now, I am a pretty resilient person, I can tell you, but the conditions of this river, if you're not in a tinny, are crossing Lake Mulwala to Yarrawonga. It would have been to Yarrawonga Tourist Park, Caravan Park, which has got its own boat ramp, etc. But they won't let me in. So Farmer Chris, my knight in shining armour, got in touch with some local dignitaries. I won't name them. I won't say who they are because they might not want to be identified and put in the position of everybody and their dog calls them when they're in trouble. But they're going to meet me at one of the beaches, and they've organised some accommodation, which is just amazing. The kindness of strangers, you know. Kindness of strangers, and it's always absolute strangers who do this kind of thing. It's just incredible. We're passing a little town of Bundalong. There's lots of channel buoys, hazard markers, good stuff like that. Murray River's on my right. This is a bit that just curves in around the little township. You can see that the water's high. Oh, one for sale there, Farmer Chris. Hazard markings, trees. With this kind of flat water, I'm looking out for sandbanks. Just entering Lake Mulwala, going through a channel which is marked by marker buoy, so obviously that's safe passage through all of the dead trees. It is pretty spectacular, all these dead tree stumps. That's Yarrawonga Weir behind me. Hopefully you can see the weir behind me so that I can get in the flow and start getting in the kilometres. 53 kilometres to do today. I know where I'm heading, and I do sincerely hope to get there in sunlight so that I don't have to keep battling the mozzies. This is a beautiful location. Just look at that amazing tree. It actually looks like the tree in our front garden. Blimey, if it turns out like that, I'll be mega pleased. So, just soak this towel because I'm wearing shorts. to try and, it keeps me cool. I put this across my knees. It keeps me cool, but it also helps a little bit with the sunburn. Because it's a reasonable time of day, I thought I'd give you a bit of a camping experience. And previous days I just have not had the energy or the inclination to actually do any video work. At the campsite. So, apart from dropping water everywhere, I thought I would do a tiny bit for you. It's still baking hot, and I am at Budgie's Bend. The reason I'm at Budgie's Bend I'll just wait for this to boil, it'll only take a short while. But the reason I'm at Budgie's Bend, I should have been at Pump House Bend, but it's Saturday, and every Victorian, it seems, in the neighbourhood is out camping. And believe me when I say every campsite along the river is packed with teenagers and young people, middle-aged people, old people. Everybody is camping in Victoria. And I couldn't risk, because I can't see anywhere beyond Pump House Bend that looks really desirable. And I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to risk going on to find there was absolutely no chance of getting a campsite. And you know, the last few, some of the longer 60-kilometre treks have just, there's been nowhere to camp. So turning up at Budgie's Bend Budgie's Bend and finding no one here. It's only a kilometre away from Pump House Bend, but turning up here, it was just, there's no chance that I'm going to go past it. No way. So I haven't. Yes, thank God that thing doesn't sting. Now, I have some new stuff. Oh. Like I say, even if it's just for a night. Unfortunately, most of that is broken up by the bridge stanchions. So they don't slow down for anybody. You know? They should put, it's a bit, I used to say, riding my motorbike, the best way to teach car drivers to show respect for motorcycle riders is to force them to ride a bike as part of their training. And I reckon the same is true for a boat license. Force people to paddle a kayak or use a non-powered vessel, and they might show a little bit more bloody respect. Hello everybody peeps. I'm just leaving a lunch stop. Well, lunch stop was a bottle of water hydrolyting, because I'm now wearing, as you can see, black clothing. And the reason I'm wearing black clothing is pretty simple. I'm burnt to a cinder and covered in mosquito bites. So I needed to do something about that. And the only thing I can do about that really is wear long sleeves. My heel still hurts, I might add. I just cannot get it in a comfortable position. Campground day 7. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and I'm a bit further on. The campground that was indicated on the map appeared to be no such thing, no such campground. Oh dear. Which means that I can't get at the water without stirring up the mud, which means also that I cannot get any fresher water until somewhere else tomorrow. First world problems and all of that. I still seem to be dehydrated. But the best part of the river is between Yarrawonga and Tocumwal. So having seen the beaches between Yarrawonga and Tocumwal, I have to say that I might just agree with that person, because, and the beaches are packed of course, well it was the weekend, everybody taking the advantage of getting in the great outdoors by being in the great outdoors. Today is wild Alaskan salmon, ginger and herbs. So I stopped today at lunchtime to get rehydrated on New South Wales side, which is private land, I think. I think it's all private land, the New South Wales side. But it was a beautiful beach and I was bursting to go to the toilet. I really had no choice. And I assume it's the owner, but I don't know. There were about half a dozen of these just on the ground. And they're not exactly biodegradable. So this is the routine every night. Find somewhere, with or without mud, preferably without. Get the tent up, that's the priority. Tent up first, followed by the airbed, unfold the sleeping bag. Shove as much stuff that I'm not going to look at in the next few hours inside the tent. and get dinner on. So there's Captain Yoda on the edge, and then just spin around. There's the tent.